Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Stramaglio Show. It's an honor for me today to welcome Mr. Oscar Sanchez. I think everyone in the industry knows who he is. He certainly is well known at this point after years in the States. Um, and he is the president of Kyocera. So, Oscar, welcome to the show. We're honored to have you.
Thank you, Mike. It's an honor for me to be here and looking forward to the conversation with you.
Awesome. So we're going to have a little bit of fun, and I'm going to give you. I always end the show with one question, so I'm going to give you a little bit of time to think about it. My last question is always, "What's your favorite Frank Sinatra song?" Okay, so now you have a little bit of time to think that through, and of course it would be Sinatra. So again, a couple of interesting questions, Oscar, and I noticed the last month or so that you've been posting some interesting things on LinkedIn. One of the things I happen to notice, and maybe you'd like to talk to it a little bit, is that you had a very successful year. Kyocera had a very successful year. And I saw that you posted that as part of, I think, your national meeting. So if you wouldn't mind, maybe you can validate that success or share that success with the audience.
Thank you, Mike, for asking about that. Yes, we had our sales kickoff, internal sales kickoff in April, where we announced our results and also the plans for next year. And we did have a good year here in the US. In the US, we had a difficult first half, especially Q1 with all the things going on with the tariffs and the different situations that everybody had to face at that time. But then the second half of the year and especially Q4 was really strong. So it was good for us, but also it was good for the corporation in Japan. So altogether, we closed a good fiscal year. So we are very happy with that. And I want to thank the support that we had from all our employees, from our customers, from our dealers, because it was not an easy year. And we felt that we had a lot of support from them. And the results are there. So very happy with the performance of last year.
Well, obviously, many congratulations to you and your team. It was fun to see that LinkedIn post. Oftentimes, people are negative or less than positive, and you were very positive. And I'm kind of curious. You mentioned that the first half of the year was a little difficult, and what kicked it into the end zone, or what got you into those positive numbers the second half? What do you attribute that to?
Well, I think that we had a really solid plan for this year, but it was interrupted soon after we started in April because there were, all the situation with the tariffs. And the problem with the tariffs were not only the tariffs by itself, that of course it created a big financial impact, but the instability that we had probably until September, with things changing every month. So I don't know how many financial models I had to build, how many discussions I had to have with Japan about what is the impact on our P&L, what kind of adjustments we had to do in our pricing. So it was difficult to have 2 months in a row that the situation was stable and you could focus on just executing the strategy that we had thought for this year. So I think that's why the first part of the year was very, very disturbing, I'd say. But then after the summer, things got stable. We all learned that tariffs were there to stay, but at least they were kind of more or less fixed. So we knew what was the scenario that we had to deal with. And then from that moment on, we could focus 100% on execution. And I think that's what really turned the point for us, probably for us, but also for the channel. I think that also they face our dealers the same instability that we're facing, and that's not good for business. That's the worst thing that you can have for any business. So I think that the fact that in the second part of the year that went away was a big help, and I think that would help everyone to be focused on delivering what we had to.
So, if you don't mind, I'd like to ask you. You posted something recently that kind of struck me. It was a very personal post that you made on LinkedIn. And again, congratulations on those numbers. That's always good to hear. It's good for the industry. But you posted something on LinkedIn that it's your 30th anniversary with Kyocera, which is amazing. So, and you post in your post, you had mentioned something to the effect, "What would I tell the young Oscar Sanchez?" And if I could talk to the young Oscar Sanchez, I found that to be really moving and very informative, not just about the business, but about you. So maybe you'd like to tell the audience who hasn't seen the LinkedIn post, what would you tell the young Oscar Sanchez?
Well, yeah, it's thank you for that, Mike. Yeah, it has been 30 years in the company, and really proud of my trajectory in the company, of all the things that we have gone through together with everybody that has been working with me, and of course, when I joined the company, I was 26 at that time. I was not expecting that I was going to be here 30 years later. I think many people ask me, how do you go from being a marketing manager of a company in Spain, at that time, Mita Spain, not even Kyocera, because when I joined the company, it was Mita at that time, a very small organization. I was the marketing manager of a company with no marketing department. So that was really interesting from the beginning. 2 years after I joined the company, unfortunately, Mita, as you know, filed for Chapter 11. So the company went bankrupt, Kyocera took over, and then that completely changed things for me. But it was very interesting that 2 years later, I became sales manager by elimination. That was the recruitment process that I had. Nobody wanted the job, and I was the only one that probably they could afford. So it was interesting for me. And I think that created a big, impactful learning experience for me, because I started visiting dealers, knowing nothing about the industry, and they knew much more than me about everything. So I realized quickly that the only thing I could, or the only way I could succeed, was not selling copiers but selling trust. Because if I was trying to sell copiers, they knew much more than me, and I could not do that. So for me, from the beginning, building trust with customers, with dealers, with employees, was a big learning experience. And recently, when I made my 30th anniversary in the company, I was thinking about all that, and I realized that 30 years later is basically the same. Nothing had changed. It doesn't matter that now I'm in the US and not in Europe, but I think here is exactly the same. It's everything about building trust, and I think this whole industry runs on relationships. And I think that the ones that probably hold are the ones that started before there was anything in it for either side. And I think that was probably my situation that I had at the beginning in Spain, but also when I came here 8 years ago. So it was a good moment to reflect and think back, and that's what I was trying to explain in that post. That I wish that somebody could have told me at that time what 30 years would give to me, and the kind of things that I would be doing, because I think that you always have to learn from the past, not to make the same mistakes. And again, that was the post that I made at that time.
Well, you're very humble. That was a very special post, and I encourage everyone to look up Oscar Sanchez on LinkedIn and take a look at that post. You touched on a few things, and I'm curious about. My family came from Italy, and there's a certain mentality, that you have regarding family, and your word is your bond, and trust becomes so important, and respect for your people, your elders, and your family, right? And I read that in your post, and I'm kind of curious. You just mentioned that you think it's the same between Spain and America. Because I always found there to be these little differences, not bad, just different. And is that your experience as well?
Well, of course, there are differences, a lot of differences, and I'm learning them every day. I've been here 8 years, but I'm not done learning how to do business here. But I think that the value of your word, of I think your credibility is your strongest asset. And I think that keeping that, you can lose many things, but if you lose your credibility, I think you are done. I think that those are the kind of things that nobody will forgive you. And I think that's the same in Europe, in Spain, and in the US. Probably, when you get older, you tend to think that that is being lost. I think it's being lost somehow here. I think it's being lost as well in Spain. But I still believe that you have a strong moral compass, and you try to make things the best way possible for everyone. And I think that I always say that, and I repeat this to many people, for instance, in interviews when I try to recruit people, that I think that you always have to pass the friends and family test. Whatever you do, you have to make sure that when you go back home every day and you have dinner with your family, you can explain to them what you did during the day and you feel proud of. You don't have anything that you then tell anyone. You don't tell your friends or you don't tell your family. And I think those values are universal. I mean, I want to think that they work everywhere. everywhere. And to be honest, if that's not what a certain market or a relationship with a particular person, that's not what they expect, then probably you cannot be different to what you are. You have to commit to yourself, and at the end, that's who you are, and you have to be accepted that way. And I think that's what I tried to do from the beginning. I made many mistakes since I've been here. I think many things I have done it in a different way, but from the beginning, I tried to be honest. I never promised to be perfect, and I just was honest with myself being imperfect, and that's what I think works everywhere. So that's why what I teach my kids, what I tell them to do, just whatever you do in life, just be honest, be loyal, be committed, uh, be faithful to your word, and just keep your promises. So
Well, I'd like to note as well, you were very clear about your unwavering support of your family, and their ability to support you has really allowed you to do what you do, and I couldn't agree more. So I was happy to see that. So let's talk a little bit about the business now. So Kyocera has been a wonderful brand name and has been very successful, and certainly more recently, you're enjoying some success. Um, are you doing some things different? Like, how do you feel about AI, or how do you feel about IT services and the impact on Kyocera and your dealer community?
well, I don't know if we're doing something different. I think Kyocera is a different type of company. If I compare with other companies in the industry, probably we are the most conservative company out there. So we don't do some crazy investments. We focus very much on our core business. We believe that you need to have a strong financial situation to have stability in the long run. And I always say the same. As I mentioned before, I worked for a company that I thought it was really strong, but it was not. And then we had to file for Chapter 11. And I think that gave me a powerful reason to believe that having a strong financials is the most important element you need to have. That's the foundation of everything you do. So I think that's the type of company that we are. And I think that we don't expect from Kyocera any big surprises. We do what we do it well. We are very committed to this industry. We manufacture everything we sell, A3, A4, production, office, toner, ink, and I think that shows a long-term commitment to this industry. So I think that's who we are. With AI, I think we're trying to do what everybody's trying to do. We're trying to understand it. I think that probably all the CEOs hate to admit that we know nothing about AI. I think it's very difficult to understand what's going on, and I don't pretend to be an expert. I think we all probably overestimate the impact that AI will have in our companies in the next 2 years, and probably we underestimate the impact that it will have in the next 10. And I think we're all trying to figure out how to use AI. I think in our case, probably right now, I think AI is more about working in the boring parts of your business. I think it's about automating the way that you create reports, dashboards, try to automate your workflows. So for me, that's boring. It's not exciting. But I think you can gain a lot of efficiencies if you do that right. And I think that's what we are trying to do. And I think we're having some good progress there. But I believe that AI it's an element that is difficult to decipher from the beginning because it's complicated. And I think many people put the focus on the technology. When I think at the end, AI, the adoption of AI will depend very much on the culture of the company. You don't have an organization that is open to change, that they are not adaptable. I think the technology will not work. And I think it's very important that you have the right culture, that you have the people that are willing to take risks and do things in different ways and experiment. And if you don't build that culture, no technology will help you to succeed. So.
And what about IT services and the ability to grow that side of the business? Probably two A and B to this question. So IT services is obviously been around for a while. What are your thoughts about it for Kyocera? What are your thoughts about it for the dealer? And then I would probably ask a B question, which is how are you feeling about production print and that side of the business?
Well, for IT services, I have to admit that I believe that's a very difficult business. I think that for all of us, for some years, we all thought, okay, this is great because we come from a printing business that the model is based on a recurrent revenue that, it's the strength of our business. So what is the thing that is more similar to that probably is ICT and managed IT. However, it's a completely different type of business. I mean, when you talk to dealers, they tell you that probably maybe around 20% of the printing business buy managed IT. So that kind of idea that we had that all our printing customers could go into managed IT, I think is very difficult. I think that business is getting more and more difficult. You need to have strong investments in technology, and now with the impact of cybersecurity, you have massive liabilities, and you need to have even more expertise, which is expensive. So for us, we were doing ICT business in our direct operations, in some of them, but it was very difficult to generate profit with that business. We never did any acquisition. We did everything organically, but we realized that the average revenue per customer was too low to make this business profitable. So we have concentrated in some few markets in the major metropolitan areas where we have direct operations, and in the small markets we are not doing ICT. And some others are being successful, but probably the ones who are being successful are the ones who have enough volume. So I think this is a business of economies of scale, and if you are not willing to invest in the long run to generate that volume, I think it's a difficult and tricky business.
Interesting answers, and I think your comments about IT services, that's probably a conversation we can have for 30 minutes just all by that. But it's a changing and evolving situation. So I'm kind of curious about what will happen in this year and year beyond. So what do you believe are the biggest challenges in the next 12 months for the dealer community, and what would you recommend?
Well, I didn't say in the next 12 months. I think that in general, we have a situation that it's impacting our business. We know that the printing volumes are declining. That's a fact. We know that the average selling price per devices are going down because of the impact of A4, and the number of devices in the market is also being reduced. And that's a challenge. So that means that we have a lot of forces that are impacting our revenue. So I think we'll need to find ways to generate growth in a market that is not helping us. And I think that's the next 12 months, but it will be the next 3 years, the next 5 years as well. I think for me, and the way I see it is that we need to find a way to kind of concentrate on our core business and how to expand from this. I think, you know, you can talk about diversification, but I think at the end, trying to go into areas of business that maybe are not within your core business, I think it makes it more difficult and not easier for you. And I see a lot of opportunities. You mentioned before production. In our case, we see that A4, that many people see as a threat, I see it as a big opportunity. I think at the end, we can see that we can replace many A3s by A4s, and the number of units that are sold in the US market is 6 A4s and printers for every A3. So I think that probably if we talk to any dealers, they will tell you that they don't have that ratio. I think the number of A4s and printers that they sell is not 6 to 1. And I think that's what we should be doing. So I think that trying to find that balance between A3 and A4, focusing on your core business and being good in execution. I think that many companies are not really good on the execution of their business, and I think that's the part that we need to have a big focus. I think you mentioned AI. I think using AI to improve the execution of your strategies and improving your core business and being more efficient, I think probably that will be the biggest challenge that we'll have in the near future to try to expand your revenue and improve your profitability.
Are you excited about the next 10, 12, 24 months in the business? Are you excited about it?
I'm always excited. I think that you cannot run a company if you're not excited, because I think people is always looking at you, and you have to transmit the idea that you believe in this business and they are optimistic about the future. We have been around for a long time in this industry. How many times we have heard this industry is going to disappear, that there is no future in this industry, but we always find a way to reinvent ourselves. I think that it is true that the office is changing, but I think that what is happening is that the office is fragmenting. I think is the ways that companies are working is a different way. So now you have to focus more on teams, small teams, more than probably in the whole office, and that requires a different type of devices, and also probably developing devices, not thinking so much into the building, into the physical space, but thinking more on the people in the small teams that will be using your devices. And that all probably also the evolution from A3 to A4 speaks a lot about that. But you have to be excited. I think that there are a lot of opportunities in this industry. I think that still there will be strong players working in this industry. You see private equity making big investments in this industry, and that means something. So, of course, I'm excited. I see that we have a good future ahead of us, and I think that you have to really see how to maximize those opportunities.
So when it comes, a couple of things jump out at me. How do you attract young people? How do you attract young people to the business? Are you finding that to be more challenging or neutral?
No, it's very challenging. It's very difficult. I mean, especially if you are in a market like the US, where the unemployment rate is less than 5%, it's very difficult. We are all competing with challenge. I think many people say, well, the copy industry is not sexy, is not attractive. I don't think so. I think that this industry is as attractive as any other industry, but of course, it's difficult to really bring people and try to attract talent because you are competing with, companies that have a lot of things to offer. And I think that you have to create that culture, that you have that strong employer brand that people want to come to work with you. So we are hiring people continuously. We have a lot of young people, and you see that you have potential to attract those people, but it's very difficult. Of course, that's probably one of the biggest problems that we have is to try to get fill in all the positions that we have, especially when you look into sales positions.
Yeah. So when you have an opportunity to share your guidance, your leadership thoughts for the dealer community, um, what's the one or two things that you would say, hey, we need you to do these things, Mr. Dealer, for the industry, and of course for Kyocera? Is there some message that you would want to send?
Yeah, again, I think it's important. I think during probably for a long time, uh, I think we're looking more into breadth. So you wanted to have many dealers and a big coverage. And I think more and more the focus is on depth. You want to have dealers that really take care of your products, and you want to commit to the dealers as well that you take care of them. I probably, by contrast, in Spain, when I was working there, most of the dealers were monoline dealers. It was a situation that they were fully committed with you, you were fully committed with them. I know that here in the US is different. I think the majority of the dealers are multi-line, but probably I think it went a little bit wild for some time, and I think some of the dealers are too many lines, in my opinion. And I think that it's difficult to give that depth that I was talking about when you are representing 4 or 5 different lines. I'm not saying that dealers have to be monoline, but I think that you have to have a strong commitment with the partners they are working with. So what I like to tell dealers is if we partner and if we have a strong understanding that we have to work together, I think it will be much easier to do business than if we do just a transactional type of business, because I think at the end you have very little things to offer. And I think that's for me the main message. I think we're willing to commit and we're willing to work together with dealers on how we can grow together. But at the same time, we are asking dealers to commit with us to do the same thing. And I think for me, that's the main message. Second thing is that they need to explore all the possibilities that we give them. At the end, we believe that we have a really strong product line. We don't offer only A3, we offer A4. We don't offer only toner, we offer inject. We don't offer only hardware, we have software as well. So I think that the possibilities that we have to generate mutual growth are big. And I think what we want from dealers is to see those possibilities and work together to have a clear growth plan.
Are you seeking more additional dealers? Are you looking to grow the dealer population?
Of course, I mean, you never have the perfect coverage in all the areas. So that's something that, of course, that we want to do. Because again, we believe that there are an opportunity there. We believe, or we see that some other OEMs are abandoning some product lines, or at least they are stopping manufacturing some product lines. And there are opportunities to really recruit new dealers. So that's something that we are trying to do. But at the same time, we are always very respectful with the existing dealer base. Quite recently, I was having a conversation with an important dealer that he was not happy with the recruitment activity that we were having. He let me know that that was not good for his business. He explained to me the reasons, and then we decided to stop that recruitment. So we want to expand our dealer network, but at the same time, we want to respect the dealers that brought us here and contributed to our success. So we are trying to have a good balance of recruitment activity at the same time that we respect the existing dealer base.
I'm really happy to hear you say that. You have to respect the dealers that brought you here. That's very important. So for the audience, it's easy to say you want to add dealers, but there's always oftentimes a complication with that, to respect the existing business. So I'm really happy to hear you say that. If you have if you have an opportunity right now to offer a thought that maybe you haven't shared with the dealer community or with the industry at large, uh, what is the Oscar Sanchez guiding light?
I'm a very simple person. I think that I don't have like a guideline that I can give you. All I know is that I try to be every day a little bit better than the day before. I think that you always have something to learn, something to improve. And for me, my philosophy is what I'm trying to improve in this specific moment. So I know that often, for instance, I don't reply to the questions that I get. I'm replying to the questions that I'm expecting to get. So maybe I don't listen enough before I provide an answer. And I know that's something that I do. So I'm trying to work on that. That's my focus this year, and that's what I'm trying to improve and work on this year. So I believe that I don't want to pretend to be someone who I'm not. So for me, my philosophy is learning every day from the mistakes that I make. I like something about that American optimism of failing fast. So I would say that I would add to that: fail fast and learn slow, because I think the mistakes that change you are the ones who sit with you for a while. So again, I started in this industry when I was very young. I made many mistakes, but I learned a lot from those mistakes, and that keeps on being my philosophy. And probably that's my 2 cents at this moment. So
That actually was excellent. So I really like what you just said there, and we all make mistakes. So I appreciate your humility with that. And when you take a look at you, how long have you been in the States? 30 years total, but
in the US, you mean?
yeah.
Yes, I came here September 2018, so it's going to be 8 years soon.
So you are truly maybe the longest tenured president in our industry.
I don't know if Mike Marusik was president before I came here. I'm not sure about it. Probably around the same time. So I think he's older than me for sure. So I think he has been around for a long time.
Well, we'll be sure to tell him that he's older than
I
you.
will. I will see him tomorrow probably. So that's the first thing I will tell him.
Well, the good news is we do have some tenured folks, and your 30 years certainly put you at the top of the list. And what was the biggest hurdle for you coming from Spain to the US?
Well, I have to tell you that it was difficult. I mean, again, you come here and I said before that everything here and in Europe, but here is built around trust and people knowing you, and nobody knew me. So I was the guy from Spain with broken English that came here to drive dealers crazy because I was changing many things, because I thought that or the way we were doing business had to be changed, and that's not easy for anyone. So that was a difficult moment for me. At the same time that you mentioned before about the family, that you bring a new family here. I have 4 children, new school for them, new education system, new culture, no friends, no support system around you. So it was difficult at home, it was difficult at work. And I think that was for me a big challenge, because it is very difficult to build trust through uncomfortable conversations. I think that when you become a leader, when you are, take over a new position, of course, it's very tempting to try to be the nice guy and try to be popular by doing what everybody's expecting from you and by not breaking anything. But when you have to gain trust through uncomfortable conversations, that's extremely difficult, because you know that that's not what people is expecting, and you know that you're upsetting people. But I think at the same time, it is very difficult, but it's probably the most rewarding experience, because at the end, when over time you are able to build that trust with people that maybe you had some difficult conversations, I think that trust and that relationship probably is even stronger. And I think it's very rewarding to see that you have been able to prove yourself, and what you promised that you were going to deliver, and you asked for some time to build what I was trying to build, and it works with dealers, but also with employees. I think that's very rewarding. But I have to say it was very challenging the first couple of years, and then after 2 years we had COVID, and then we had the supply chain. So my first probably 4 or 5 years, I think that there was something wrong with me and not with the industry, because everything was going south. So it was difficult, but again, it probably was one of the best experiences I had in my professional life because I learned a lot through that process.
Incredible. You come to the States, you uproot your family, you have no friends or family here, like you said, or a support system. You take on a huge challenge with your new job, and COVID hits. My God, Oscar, that's almost a trifecta of bad things. And here you are, you met that all those challenges, and you're hugely successful as the president of Kyocera, and Kyocera is enjoying the benefits. So congratulations to you on all of that. And I can only imagine, one of the things that people probably don't oftentimes understand is when you bring your family. It's one thing to bring your family from Wisconsin to New York or California to Chicago. It's another thing to bring them from Spain to a whole new country, whole new everything you just said, educational system. That had to be a big worry for you.
Yeah, I tell you that I'm so proud of my family. That's my biggest accomplishment by far, because not only that we moved, coming from Spain, we were living in Amsterdam before we came here. So we moved from in 2015, we moved from Madrid to Amsterdam. So we spent there 3 years. I promised them that we're going to be there for 3 years. That was the plan. Actually, I was having a position in the European headquarters, but I was keeping my position in Spain. So I was flying back and forth from Spain, but my family was in Amsterdam because after 3 years, I was going to go back to Spain. So then we were making plans to go back to Spain. Things changed, and then we ended up here. So what I had to tell them that I had to break my promise, and there was a new challenge in the US. So for them was the second time in 3 years that they had to go for, again, new school, new language, new friends, and that was, very difficult for everyone. They adapted very well. I think that that also for them was a great learning experience. But I'm very happy for their support, and also very proud for what they accomplished. So I think that again, everybody has their difficulties. I'm not saying that what I did is more difficult than what other people did. Probably the guy from Wisconsin that moved to the East Coast, that comes with their own set of challenges. So I'm not saying that my experience is much more difficult than anyone. All I'm saying is that there are situations that, yes, we need to face. I always make a joke and I say that on top of that, you have to communicate and you have to explain a project in a language that is not yours. And I always say you cannot imagine how intelligent I am when I'm speaking Spanish, because that's when you feel comfortable. So that's another challenge that you have. So it's, I think again, life is rewarding, but at the same time is difficult. But probably it's more rewarding when you have more difficulties, and that's the way I see it. You asked me before if I was positive or optimistic about the future of the industry. I'm always optimistic about everything. I think life is great. We are very lucky to do something that I love. And yes, you have difficulties because life is not perfect, but I think you have to be positive about what is around you. So.
Well, if you don't mind, I'm going to share my respect and appreciation for your wife and your family for all the support they give you. Nothing good happens without the support of family. So,
I will tell her,
so
I promise.
please, send my best wishes on behalf of the industry. And my last question, I gave you time to think about it. Do you have a favorite Frank Sinatra song?
Well, probably the interview didn't go well because I've been distracted just thinking about it. So I was probably thinking more on than on the other answers. Because the problem I have is that, of course, I know Frank Sinatra, but Frank Sinatra is very deep into the American culture, probably in the Italo-American culture. And I always say there are certain things that you need to be born in the US to understand. I didn't have Frank Sinatra in my list, but I had two things in my list. I will incorporate Frank Sinatra. The two things that you need to be born in the US to understand is baseball and peanut butter. I haven't been able to figure out those two yet. I didn't grow listening to Frank Sinatra, or my dad was not listening to Frank Sinatra. I was more kind of Julio Iglesias. So probably if you want me to give you a very easy and typical answer, I would say for where I live, New York, New York. Probably that's the song that I would say my
All right.
favorite.
So, what was your favorite Julio Iglesias song?
Well, I think that I said Julio Iglesias because he's a Spanish singer, but probably also I don't know any song from Julio Iglesias. I'm not very much into it, so I just probably made it up quickly. So yeah, I mean, I know the relevance of Frank Sinatra, but it's not probably what I heard when I was a kid. So.
So, Oscar, I want to make sure we all understand. So, I asked you many, many questions, all of which you answered very, very clearly and well. The one question that made you worried was Frank Sinatra.
Absolutely. I told you I have been very distracted because of that. So we can repeat the interview. I would have to say that.
Oh, God, that is hilarious. So, to the audience, from the audience to you, Oscar, it's been a real honor to have you on the show. We much appreciate it. You've shared some really cool things with us, and you've shown some insight, I think, to the audience about you as a human being besides Kyocera. So much respect, much appreciation, and I thank you really from the bottom of my heart for joining.
Thank you very much, Mike. I enjoyed very much. I think this is the kind of interviews that I love to do every day. It's very easy to talk to you. I really appreciate everything you do for the industry, and it's for me great to be here and a wonderful experience.
Well, as we go, I almost forgot to thank you and Kyocera for joining us at the Executive Connection Summit. It was nice to have Don Duval on the panel. Hopefully, one time we can get you there personally sometime soon. But in any case, the support of Kyocera meant a whole lot to our ability to be successful. So we thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Mike. And like I always do every time I see you, I always have to apologize because I didn't have the chance to go there. Very bad timing for me all these different times. And I have to say also that one thing that probably it's very difficult for me. I think I know how important networking is in the US. I think you see networking as a part of the job. I think coming from Europe, and especially coming from Spain, it's different. I think it's sometimes we see networking as a distraction, and you have all the priorities other than the networking. We are very social in Spain, but we like to meet with even people from work or customers, but out of work, and that becomes a social component more than a professional component. And I'm not good on that. I'm learning over the years that I've been here, so that's something that I have to learn. And probably the best way I can learn how to do that well is going to the next executive summit. So I promise I will try.
Hey, no problem at all. I know you always mention it to me, and I am very respectful that usually we have a time when you're going on a ski trip with your family. Nothing has more importance than family. So I thank you very, very much, and we'll see you at the next meeting.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you very much.